Hi there, I'm Jules. Nice to see you. The word of the day today? Hi there, I'm Jules. Nice to see you. The word of the day today is Hi there, I'm Jules. Nice to see you. The word of the day today is hope. Kind of like, I hope you like my videos. If you'd like to know why hope is the word of the day, watch my next video and then read the description to find out. Hi babes! Today we're playing Seduce Me again for the 5th time, I believe. I am very excited to continue this game. I hope it doesn't end, but honestly, I think if it does end, I'm just going to go to the next game and just call all of this Seduce Me, because there's like 3 games in this game, so I might as well. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So as a recap, we met Diana, and she's trying to, I think that's who that was just on the screen. She's trying to take my boys away from me, and that's not acceptable, Diana. My vision oh yes, and I just got to see the boys as their true demon selves, and their dad and everything, and how they came to come here. My vision began to clear, letting me fully see the boys around me, all with concerned faces.
So, you now know exactly who we are.
Diana is the girl you were arranged to marry?
Not anymore. Once we left, the arrangement was broken. With no sons to marry off, our dad couldn't go through with the marriage deal.
If Diana is here for us, that means she's trying to save her kingdom from being attacked.
That's not true. She wants to rule our kingdom. Having one of us will give her the right to our kingdom, as much as we'd have right over hers.
So she's a gold digger!
Well, with a kingdom like ours, what succubus wouldn't want to marry us for it?
It all made sense. She wanted them so that she could finally take over an opposing kingdom. She knew that, despite her powers, she wouldn't be able to fight against their father, so she had to find another way in. That manipulative... Before I could continue, I felt my head suddenly get heavy and dizzy. I gripped my head, mewling under my breath. What the...
I took too much. I'm so sorry.
Rest now. There's no need to do anything more today.
The boy suddenly rushed over and helped me lay back down as my vision was painted in white polka dots. I needed sleep badly. Instantly, I closed my eyes and let darkness consume me. After what seemed like hours, I finally woke up, slightly refreshed. My body knew that if I slept any longer, I'd be up all night, which was not part of the plan for the day. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, letting a soft groan escape my lips. In response, something beside my bed shuffled, causing me to look over. I didn't know what I was expecting. Beside me, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was Eric, rousing himself up to see me awake. I smiled at him, seeing his slightly ruffled hair and tired eyes.
You're awake, princess. That's a relief. How do you feel?
Better. Eric nodded before he gently reached over and placed his hand over mine, running his thumb over my knuckles and examining my face with soft sadness.
I must apologize, princess. To see you be hunted by both demons and devils, I feel entirely responsible.
I mean, you kind of are. Eric, it's not your fault.
No, forgive me, but I can't stand the thought of them hurting you. If we had never come, you'd never be in danger.
That is true, again. I quickly reached over and put my finger on his lips, stopping him from going any further. I didn't want to hear any more. Eric, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cupped Eric's cheek, staring at him with concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate, and she'd hunt anyone for them. It wasn't his fault she was desperate enough to hunt them down. However, I was curious. So, Eric, you're a noble? Eric chuckled before he stared at the hand he was caressing with a soft smile.
Yes, I'm a noble. My brothers and I are nobles. Well, I guess I should say were now, shouldn't I?
Were?
James was the demon prince when we lived in the Abyssal Plains. The others and I were simply nobles living in the castle, simply because of our bloodline. Should James fail or die, we were the replacements. Well, We didn't want to live like that, as simply replacements over our brother. So we all wanted to leave and be an actual family.
Well, that's sweet. What was it like while you were there? I kind of saw that already.
Well, to put it simply, it was boring. James was constantly being trained while the rest of us had to constantly entertain ourselves without disturbing him. I, however, was also being trained under the guidance of my mother.
Your mother?
Yes, she was a lovely woman. I never knew what she looked like.
What? That made no sense. How could he not know what his own mother looked like? Eric, as if he read my mind, smiled and chuckled at the confusion on my face.
Our father had multiple wives. James, myself, Sam, and Matthew came from these very women. But tensions grew high when Damien was born outside our father's marriages. In order to quell the tension, our father had a powerful demon mage turn our mothers into simple, floating spirits. They lived, but they could not have physical form.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
It is, but which is better? A house where the sons of the Demon Lord could have their birth mothers, or watching these very women claw at each other's throats out of jealousy, leaving the sons with no true parental guidance? Our father didn't have time for anyone but James, so the rest of us needed someone to make sure we didn't grow up to be incompetent.
Eric had a point. It was horrid, but it was a logical point. I bit my lip and nodded in understanding. Eric gently brought my hand up to kiss my knuckles.
Would you like to see what I mean instead?
I stared, trying to understand what he meant. However, as the memory of when he showed me the demon palace replayed in my mind, I nodded and let my curiosity guide me. Eric smiled before simply holding out one hand to me and letting a small breath rush against his palm. Instantly, the flower Eric had given to me appeared in his hand, making him smirk and making me blush.
You kept it. Good.
Eric wrapped his fingers gingerly around the stem, giving it the magic it had been given before, and casting an aura-like mirror before me. I peered in to see the castle main hall once again. The memory of being in that hall, albeit by magic, sent a small shiver down my spine. I watched, however, as a very familiar demon walked arm in arm with a woman with cat ears and a tail down the walkway.
Tiffy, my sweet kitten, you truly astound me. Whatever shall I do with you?
Stop it, you're making me blush.
But what if I want to make you blush? You're so much cuter when you blush, kitten.
Stop.
I felt my eye twitch in irritation. Why was Eric showing me this? Was he trying to spite me? I didn't want to see him flirt with demon girls. I already had some trouble with him flirting with me.
You sly incubus, you. I'll get in trouble for sure if I'm caught with you.
Then shouldn't we make the risk worthwhile?
Eric held the cat girl close to his body, looking about ready to kiss her. The girl, however, mewed and pulled away, giggling in almost cute embarrassment.
Such a bad incubus. So bad. I should go.
Ah, very well, you minx. Until we meet again.
The cat girl giggled before rushing out of the main hall, but not before Eric lowered his hand underneath her tail as she turned and let it slide across his fingers as she ran off, making the cat girl jump in surprise. The girl playfully glared at Eric, who only pouted innocent lips in return, before she exited. However, as the girl left the room, Eric's face went from flirtatious to almost ice cold. Eric let out a sigh, gently rubbing his hands to rid them of the fur that had caught on them, and rolled his shoulders.
Well, mother, was that enough to please you?
I stared shocked at the personality change. What the heck happened to Eric? He was flirty, charming, and almost disgustingly complimentary, but the Eric I was seeing in the mirror wasn't him at all. A small red orb, surrounded with a veil of purple mist, entered the space, making my mind go blank. It approached Eric, glowing as it spoke.
Very well done, dear. Much better than I expected of you.
Thank you. You taught me well.
That I did. You must never forget, however, to always listen to your women. Serving them is your #1 priority. Should they be uncomfortable, you must step back and be as submissive as possible.
Yes, mother.
Good. Now, continue to woo that cat girl. Once she gives you her energy, then you can toss her back out. You don't need any pets hanging around when you find another girl.
As you wish, Mother.
I stared in utter shock. The orb vanished, but Eric remained in the hall, letting out a sigh. He had a look of displeasure on his face. He looked tired as well, but something seemed off. He looked like he had a lot on his mind, but his closed mouth wouldn't let him speak them. He was submissive to his guidance. I turned away from the mirror to look at the Eric beside me, who had a look of both sadness and guilt. It was like a puppy admitting to chewing my favorite shoe, or a child stealing a cookie from a cookie jar. Eric stopped the magic, willing the mirror out of existence and letting it fade away in the air before he looked to me.
She taught me well. At least what she could teach me anyway. That visage became habit, and now it's a natural persona to me. She taught me to always serve and make the women I met happy. She always said that was the true incubus way.
The true incubus way?
It makes sense, no? If I can please and serve any women I meet, then I can surely convince them to fully give their energy to me.
I began to see the mask Eric was wearing. He wasn't putting on airs because he was overly complimentary. He was complimentary in order to gain trust and respect. That is smart.
It is. However, I know what you're thinking, Princess. I don't blame you for thinking what you are thinking of right now.
What am I thinking of right now? Then what am I thinking of right now?
Who am I exactly? If I am truly not as flirtatious as I act, then what do I act like, and will you be the next victim? I can assure you, Princess, that I am no danger to you.
How can I be so sure?
Because, Princess, I don't deserve your trust or energy.
I stared, my mind going blank. What did he mean? Eric lifted my hand again and gently caressed it, staring down at it.
You've done so much for me and my brothers, sheltering us, letting us continue to live here. It may not seem like much, but to a family of brothers without anywhere to go, it means everything. I can't soil your gifts to us by taking anything from you. You've become so important and precious to us. To me. To take anything from you like that would be beyond unforgivable.
I watched in speechless silence as Eric lifted my hand higher and simply laid his lips against it. I could feel his frown and felt his shame burning itself into my skin. It was a pitiful sight and almost made my eyes water.
I could never do that to you.
Eric lowered my hand and lowered his head, ashamed. I couldn't help but feel my heart squeeze within my chest at the sight. He didn't want to hurt me. He truly cared. Eric let out a small sigh before looking to me, his face now clear of the flirtatious mask he bore for so long. He had a genuine, caring, and loving smile bared for me. This was the man inside of the incubus who cared for me and wanted to be revealed.
Now, Princess, you must get some more rest. You aren't fully recovered, and dinner is a good scent to wake up to.
Eric smiled and gently pressed me back down onto the bed. I'll do that. I couldn't let him leave without doing something. I quickly pulled Eric down to me, lifted my head, and gently kissed him, softly laying a hand on his cheek to keep his face close. Eric stared in deep surprise before hesitantly kissing me back, caressing my cheek and slightly melting at the touch of our lips. A soft sigh escaped his lips before he slowly pulled away with a smile. He gently licked his lips, making me go red in the face at the simple gesture. He let out a satisfied hum before nuzzling my forehead.
Sleep.
And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me to rest as per his request. I smiled to myself before relaxing into the mattress. I suddenly tensed up. I felt majorly uneasy. Something wasn't right. I felt it in my core. She must be here. The thought of her in the house infuriated me beyond belief. I had to make sure she was not here. I rolled out of bed and quickly left my room, wandering the halls and listening closely. She was a demon, but I was listening very intently. There was no way she would have been able to sneak up on me. I know you're here. Where are you? I could feel myself growl. It wasn't a matter of fear that she'd take away the boys anymore. Her very existence had lit a fire of rage within my gut, which only grew as each day went by. This feud was getting on my nerves, and I knew it would not end well for one of us. I wasn't going to lose to that demon bitch.
Diana, what a pleasant surprise.
My heart stopped. Diana was with Eric. My mind flew into slow motion, playing fake images of Diana trying to seduce Eric in my head to further fan the angry flame inside of me. What was even worse was the fact that Eric could play into Diana's flirtatious game. I instinctively followed Eric's voice and blushed wildly. I was approaching the bathroom. The door was open just a crack, wide enough to peek in without being noticed. Uh-oh. I peeked inside to see Eric by the bathtub with Diana sitting on the sink, looking to him.
Such a gentleman. You know how to treat a woman.
That I do. However, I'm afraid that my manners will not replace my sickening hatred towards you.
I'm hurt, wounded truly. Is this how you really address a woman?
A woman you may be, but you are an enemy as well.
Pity. And here I thought I was going to offer you the chance to become something better than just a simple incubus.
What was Diana going on about? More than just an incubus? She was insane.
I highly doubt you have anything more than what I can have here in the human world.
How about becoming the next demon lord?
I froze. What does she mean? Becoming the next demon lord? The boys weren't in the demon world anymore. They had no claim to the throne anymore.
Becoming the next demon lord? You're overstepping yourself, don't you think? How can you know about who the throne goes to?
Well, currently, I'm the contracted bride to the heir to the throne. Since the throne is open, it's available to any son of the Demon Lord's line.
Is that so?
It is. You'll gain the throne, the land, and a bride to continue your lineage with. Doesn't that sound like a perfect life for an incubus like you?
I could feel myself gripping my fists tightly in anger. How dare this girl try to convince Eric to return to the demon world? He ran away from it. He didn't have to go back. He shouldn't go back. My mind began to wander. Imagine him saying yes. He would leave, and the brothers would follow him to bring him back. They'd be trapped because Diana would make sure they could never leave. Eric would be the new demon lord with Diana as his queen, and I'd lose him.
Sorry, but that actually doesn't sound appeasing at all.
What?
I felt surprise run down my body again. Did I hear Eric correctly? He denied her?
You dare deny?
Do not try to raise a tone to me. I am not as submissive as my training defines.
I could see the ethereal tendrils slowly form around Eric, taunting and threatening to strike at Diana.
You do not scare me. I can bring you to your knees and make you beg to return with me.
Such a cute bluff. You don't have enough power to do that, do you? Or else you would have already done it.
Eric smirked before making the tendrils fade away. Diana gripped the sink beneath her as Eric turned to adjust the shower head nonchalantly.
Besides, even if you did enthrall me, you wouldn't fully own me. I belong to her.
The human girl? You must be joking. A human like her can't possibly provide you what you need. She's a human. You're a demon.
I felt the urge to storm in and shut her mouth. It would give away my position, but I was growing extremely tired of Diana. No. I didn't want to step in at the wrong time. Eric could handle Diana. I trusted him enough to fight for me. I stood my ground and watched in silence.
Now you've annoyed me for long enough, and I'm in need of a shower. Will you leave?
And if I don't want to?
I can just as easily have one of my brothers escort you out.
Impertinent, aren't you?
Diana sighed before crossing her arms and leaning on one hip.
This was a complete waste of my time. I should have just enthralled your little human girlfriend and made her jump off a cliff.
Eric looked at Diana, glaring daggers into her soul as she raised her arms up gently, as if to block his attempts to scare her.
Though, I'm not surprised she hasn't come out of her little hiding spot to come and defend you.
Diana then looked over in my direction, locking eyes with me. I froze in surprise. She knew I was there? Diana smirked as I stepped into the room.
Humans are such fleeting creatures. She can never fully and truly love a demon.
Diana then slid her gaze to Eric before sinking into the ground, the pentagram appearing around her feet.
Let me know when you figure that out, my dear. I'll come running.
And with that, Diana vanished, leaving Eric and I alone in that room, left in silence. I finally let out the air I was unconsciously holding in my chest, relaxing from the ordeal. Eric stepped to me and held me gently, surprising me.
Are you okay, princess?
I nodded in response, unable to speak so immediately after being surprised. Eric let out a sigh, relaxing in the embrace. I gently placed my hands around him, returning the embrace slightly. I wasn't sure what to do. All of this was spinning in my head in circles before I decided to simply look up to the man holding me. Eric gently took and kissed my hand before he pulled away slowly, looking into my eyes to reveal a deep love that haunted his purple irises.
Come, I'll carry you back to bed.
Eric then wrapped an arm around my shoulders and lowered his other arm underneath my knees. I easily held on to him as he lifted me up like a blushing bride and carried me out of the room towards my room. Eric was kind enough to know my mind and would not force the issue no matter what. He was too sweet, and I didn't deserve his kindness. Eric gently lowered me to my bed before petting my head with a loving smile. I was beaming in happiness. As Eric turned to leave, I slowly sank into the covers, relaxing. The sound of footsteps echoed before finally I was alone. I rested my head against the pillows, enjoying the cool they provided as I closed my eyes. I'll be ready when I'm ready. Will it be soon? Who knew? All I knew at that moment was that I made a choice I felt was right. I'm sorry, am I missing something? Ready for what? Are they talking about sex? Because I don't know. I don't know. Maybe so. Hello?
I will not leave here empty-handed.
Okay. I tried to open my eyes at the sound, but I felt my eyes remain shut. I instinctively wanted to move, but my body felt frozen. What was Diana doing? I felt my body lift up from the bed, leaving me to hover and quake in fear. I wanted to scream, but my voice was frozen as well. I felt Diana move to angle her face over mine. I wanted to move away, but at the same time I felt like I was blissfully melting in her gaze.
Well, if I can't return home with the boys, I might as well return home with the power to fight back.
Diana finally leaned in and kissed me. I tightened my closed eyes, feeling the need to bite her lips, but finding no muscles in my face listening to my mental commands. What did she do to me? I didn't want to enjoy it, but every single nerve in my body was flaring in excitement and pleasure as she kissed me. I felt my energy drain slowly, but forcefully from my body. I do not like Diana. No. Was she using her magic to force energy out of my body? It seemed like forever, but finally, Diana pulled away from the kiss with an audible lick of her lips. What does that sound like? She lowered me back onto the patio and chuckled. For some reason, I could feel her presence. She felt stronger, more powerful. It was almost like looking at a new Diana. As I was lowered back into bed, Diana chuckled at me. I grew even more fearful. Was she going to go for the boys now? To my surprise, her presence vanished and I felt at ease. It was like an on and off switch Diana pulled on me. Was this normal? Hell no. She was a major nut job. I relaxed slightly, trying to sleep again. Thankfully, I succeeded. The rest of the story can almost be passed over. With Diana gone, my life returned to normal with school and my friends not remembering what had happened. It was as magic never even appeared in my world. Eric cared for me and we remained close to each other. It was sweet, like a simple fairy tale ending. He didn't step over my boundaries and I deeply appreciated it. Eric remained faithful to me, living with me and serving me like a servant. I needed help around the house anyway. It was almost funny to think about it, a demon becoming a servant to a human girl. The others decided to leave of their own accord. They knew that my future would only need Eric at my side, so they each decided to start their own lives in the human world. Eric understood perfectly and vowed to serve me well, wishing his brothers the best. I felt bad as well, for being closer to Eric than the others, but they reassured me that I was okay, and that they would remain nearby should I ever need them. I was happy for that. But what of my future? Well, it was kind of made for me. Before I graduated, James decided to step into the light of the Anderson Toys Company, and with the help of his demon powers and leadership charisma, he managed to influence not only the entire board, but my father as well into letting him run for CEO. Oh, James! Okay, cool. I was beyond shocked. How James managed to do all of that was beyond me, but when the vote was called, James had taken over the company I was destined to have. He vowed to respect the wishes of the late CEO and help the company become an even grander company. For a demon, it was simple to make a company grand. My grandfather would have been proud to see how James helped it shine. With the CEO position filled, my father had no choice but to let me decide my future, which made me happy beyond compare. No longer would I have the future scaring me into a corner. I could choose my life on my own. That being said, I was still scared of where the future was going to take me. What did I want to do? Did I want to help James build the company? Did I want to venture off on my own? Eric reassured me that he would support me and help me through whatever I decided to do. I was grateful and would never forget that promise. I was happy, and nothing could shake me down from that happiness. One morning, I woke up and took in all that had happened as if it were all a dream. The demons, the devils, the magic. It was all surreal to believe. It almost frightened me to think that it could have all been a dream. My fears vanished, however, as a knock appeared at my bedroom door. Come in. The door opened to reveal Eric with a small tray of food for me. A vase with a red rose sat beside a hot plate of pancakes, eggs, and bacon, decorating my breakfast beautifully.
Good morning, Princess.
I simply smiled. It wasn't a dream. I still had Eric. I still felt the magic in the air around me. I wasn't alone. Eric walked over and placed the tray on the bed across my legs.
I hope you had a good sleep.
I did. I had a dream about everything that happened to us. How we met. How you cared for me. Everything. It almost made me believe it was all a dream. Eric smiled at me and got on one knee beside the bed, taking one of my hands in his.
Well, princess, if this is a dream, then I pray that it'll never end.
Eric gently kissed my hand, making my heart flutter slightly. His devotion to me was beyond my imagination. That was my happily ever after. What? Pardon? Okay, well, I actually am going to stop it here. I'm just going to keep going to Seduce Me too, but I figured I would end it here, but it's going to keep going, so... thank you so much for playing with me. I hope you had fun, because I definitely had fun. I'll see you later.